Hello, football fans. Welcome back to Goalside. Nobody can deny it. Every football player has a dream when they begin to play during their childhood or teenage years. Many wish to break records, surpassing their predecessors' feats in a spectacular fashion, and find a place into the history books. Others want to achieve a level of fame that is comparable to Hollywood movie stars and musicians with global reach. A few others silently pray to reach the heights that are only attainable by those who go on to become legends, and to be remembered as the successor of Pelé or Maradona, or perhaps now of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. However, how many of those young footballers actually get to accomplish these dreams? How large is the proportion of athletes which can get as far as becoming world-class or hitting the headlines? In fact, how many young stars even reach their potential after a good start? Even less. The world of football was full of discarded old men who look back on a failed career, on a missed opportunity, or a sad ending to their possibilities as a football star, due to injuries or other incidents that drove them to an abrupt ending to their dreams. But sometimes, this isn't the case. It isn't just about luck either. Sometimes a player wants it enough that it comes true. He doesn't care if he had a bad game or two. He trains harder than ever for the third. He doesn't care if his chances at a big club go down the drain. He tries his best at a smaller club. Even if he gets injured or sick or criticized by the entire world, he puts his head down and keeps his mental fortitude intact. These are the players that can succeed in world football, the stars that can grow into legends and break all the records they want. And this is how we get to the main protagonist of this video, a boy talent that, for a long while, seemed to be just a lesson to everybody that not all teenage stars turn out to be as good as they seemed initially, and proof that not everyone lives up to their reputation, but who is now tearing it up in La Liga and proving everybody wrong. We're talking about Martin Ødegaard, the 20-year-old Norwegian superstar that is reminding people that they weren't wrong in believing he was an amazing talent a few years ago. He was just warming up to return to the top. Born in Drammen, a port city in the eastern regions of his native Norway, Martin was destined for football from the beginning of his life. His father, Hans-Erik Ødegaard, was a famous Norwegian footballer who played as a midfielder and also coached a Norwegian club for 6 years. This meant that Martin had plenty of experience to channel from in his journey towards becoming a professional footballer. Even before he was 6 years old, he started playing at his local sports club called Drammen Strong. It wasn't long before his parents invested in improving the conditions of this club so that their son could practice on an even more high-tech playing surface and develop his skills at an even faster pace than he was already growing at. The boy himself made donations to the club after winning a couple of youth awards, ensuring that Drammen Strong could continue evolving as a training ground. It wasn't long until, at the age of 10, Ødegaard joined Strøm's Godset, a side with a rich history in Norwegian football. There, he began to train with older boys and teenagers who realized that they clearly had quite a competitor on their hands, with this talented young star among them. He began to impress almost immediately, starting to climb up the ranks with speed. Only 1 year later, at 10, Martin found himself playing for a team formed of the best players in his district, sharing the pitch both on his team and on the opponents, with players who were at least 2 years older than he was. Despite this, Martin was unfazed by the challenge, playing so well in his initial matches that he received great praise by his coach. 3 years would pass as Ødegaard trained and grew with these older boys, finding himself simultaneously playing as a left back while being allowed to roam freely up front as a playmaker, with his coaches considering that he had an incredible eye for passes that not even they themselves had achieved in their years of training. By the age of 12, Martin was impressing coaches and scouts across the nation with his participation in a Norwegian under-16 tournament, with most of the boys being of around 15 years of age or 3 to 4 years older than him. At this point, more or less, the young star was no longer considered a boy, but was now rapidly becoming a man, at least in terms of his footballing capability. In fact, it was only a year later that he got his chance to debut for Strøm's Godset's first team in a friendly, also receiving invitations by Bayern Munich and Manchester United, who had him travel to their facilities to get to know more about what he could do. Yes, even the biggest clubs in England and Germany had their sights on this teenage wonder by now. Talk about a meteoric rise. When he was just 15 years of age in 2014, Ødegaard became a full-time first-team player for Strøm's Godset, although his tender age also meant that he wasn't yet allowed to sign any professional contracts or train in the daytime, but this latter restriction was due to him still being at school. As much as he would have liked it, he would have to find a way to train in the evenings while still dedicating most of his time to his school classes and exams. Months later, however, the contract restriction was raised and Ødegaard signed his professional contract with Strøm's Godset, finally playing in Norway's first division, the Tippeligaen, while also becoming the youngest footballer to play a Tippeligaen league match in history. Even more incredibly, he scored a goal for the club less than 2 weeks later, also earning the title of youngest ever goal scorer in the Tippeligaen. It was certainly a month to remember for Martin. But his soaring rise wasn't about to end. Just 2 months after his first goals for Strømsgodset set, Ødegaard played what would be the most impressive game of his premature career and finally convinced everyone that hadn't been convinced yet that he was the real deal. In this fixture against Sandnes Ulf, Ødegaard scored a goal and notched an assist, also setting up another goal and a big win for his team. Even Jon Arne Riis himself, Norway legend and ex-Liverpool star, started campaigning for Ødegaard to become part of the Norwegian national team at all costs. And discussion spread across the nation as many realized that they had one of the best 15-year-olds in Europe playing in the first division. Remember, this was all happening in just a matter of months in mid-2014. What did Martin think about all this? Well, let's just say he was ready for anything they offered him, whether it was a move to a European giant or a call-up to the national team. And honestly, it was only months before not one, but both things happened. You see, all of this which happened in April, May, June, and July was only going to have an obvious outcome, which began on August 19, 2014, when Ødegaard was given his first call-up for the senior international Norwegian team, playing 90 minutes of a goalless draw against the United Arab Emirates, a match in which he became the youngest player ever to play for Norway at their senior level. Just so you can put this record into perspective, the second youngest player for the team had his debut in 1910. It wouldn't be long before he also played in a European Championship qualifier, earning him yet another record as the youngest player to achieve this. He would go on to earn a Man of the Match award against Sweden in 2015, and finally scored his first international goal for Norway in 2019. But that's another story. At the club level, the second part of his immense jump to stardom came in December of 2014 when Ødegaard was invited by Liverpool, his dream club, Bayern Munich, and Manchester United once again, Manchester City and Arsenal, to train with their first teams and get to know their facilities. Martin found the experiences lovely, but it wasn't until January 2015, when he visited the Santiago Bernabéu of Real Madrid, that he was truly impressed. Receiving a significant offer from the Spanish giants, Ødegaard was signed only a few days later, with Zinedine Zidane to become his manager at Real Madrid Castilla. As part of the deal, Martin's father was also to become a youth coach at the club. Despite being a regular starter at Castilla in his first season, he didn't impress, but he was still allowed to make his debut in the final fixture of the 2014-15 season against Getafe CF, in which he became the youngest debutant in the history of the club by coming on in place of Cristiano Ronaldo in the second half of the match. Ødegaard's incredible story seemed to hit a brick wall at this point, unfortunately, as he was overlooked by Carlo Ancelotti in the first team, didn't really rack up big stats at Castilla, and was even considered an unimpressive flop by the same media who had put all the pressure on him to be a world beater. An initial two-season loan to Dutch Eredivisie club SC Heerenveen was nothing special, with the youngster scoring only 4 goals and assisting 4 more in 43 matches. And it looked like all of his confidence, self-belief, and ability had been stunted by the pressure on his shoulders. Real Madrid decided to loan him again in the 2018-19 season, now to a club famous for receiving and developing loanees, Eredivisie's SBV Vitesse. Here his luck would change. Playing 39 matches in total, Ødegaard began to produce the goods, scoring 11 goals and assisting 12, closing slowly on the level everyone was expecting him to play at, and showing signs of being the star that Real Madrid would soon need. But Los Blancos didn't think he was prepared. At least one more loan was what the Norwegian star needed if he wanted to play at the top. This time, however, it would be in La Liga, playing for a competitor of the team that had signed him in 2015, Real Sociedad, the famous Real of Spain's Basque country. Here, his luck would change entirely, and his meteoric rise would restart like the world had been patiently waiting for it to do. On August 25, 2019, in just his second full match for Sociedad, an away tie at Mallorca and La Liga, the 20-year-old produced a truly man-of-the-match performance to score the single goal that was needed for his side to triumph. He was everywhere in that match, making incredible passes and showing incredible movement to make space around the box when his team were attacking. It was as if the teenage Ødegaard was back once more, for a vengeance. Another goal and another man-of-the-match game followed on September 14th when he was crucial in Real Sociedad's fantastic home win over Atletico Madrid, who were shocked by this young player's ability to control the midfield and pass through around Colchonero's famous backline as if they weren't even there. By this point, the entire Spanish nation was talking about his rebirth. But he would impress the world of football even further with an immense assist against Deportivo Alavés in another Real League win, in which he eliminated the opposing entire midfield and backline with a single pass, placing the ball straight at Mikel Oyarzábal's feet at the 19th minute before the striker tapped it past the keeper. It was an incredible assist, worthy of any amount of prizes for the magnificent vision the young Norwegian demonstrated in making it. One more assist in a thrilling 3-2 defeat versus Sevilla showed that Ødegaard doesn't seem to be able to stop racking up his stats this season, and everybody seems to be talking about how he may just be the current best player in La Liga in 2019-20. Martin Ødegaard may have had a crazy amount of pressure to perform due to his form as a teenager and the reputation that preceded him, and sure, he may have had a few bad years in which he went completely missing, but the starlet definitely seems to be producing what was expected of him now, when it matters. Is Ødegaard among the best players in La Liga? Hopefully, he may be exactly what Real Madrid needs right now in this bad period that they're having. Hopefully, Martin Ødegaard can return to the limelight, but this time not as an impressive teenager, but as a fully developed man. This has been all of our analysis on Norwegian star Martin Ødegaard. We hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to Goalside to see more videos. We'll see you on the next one.